From Obasanjo to Tinubu, how successive governments gambled with different policies. Some of the policies are: 1. Sanitation program removed by Obasanjo. There was a time when no one could step outside before 10 a.m. on Saturdays because the government mandated environmental sanitation. Officials went door to door to enforce the rule, which significantly reduced indiscriminate waste disposal. Today, we are surrounded by filth and living in unregulated dump sites. The government should consider reinstating this policy to improve public cleanliness. Abolition of toll gates. Obasanjo removed toll gates for unclear reasons, despite their role in generating revenue for road maintenance and providing employment opportunities. Additionally, toll gates served as security checkpoints, helping to curb crime on highways. While some toll gates have been reintroduced, their purpose has shifted to repaying loans for road construction rather than maintaining infrastructure. 3. Privatization and monetization. Obasanjo's privatization policy, led by then Vice President Atiku Abubakar, resulted in national assets being sold off at questionable prices to a select few under the guise of efficiency. Government-owned housing meant for civil servants and strategically located near workplaces was sold off, forcing occupants to either buy them or vacate. This contributed to skyrocketing rent prices in major cities. The mismanagement of this program remained a glaring example of poor governance. 4. Niger Delta Amnesty Program. The government granted amnesty to armed militants in the Niger Delta to ensure uninterrupted oil production after years of unrest over environmental degradation and lack of benefits from the region's resources. While initiatives like the Niger Delta Development Commission (NDDC) were introduced, corruption hindered their effectiveness and agitation continues to this day. 5. Buhari's amnesty for terrorists. The Buhari's administration extended the amnesty program to terrorists in the northern region, sparking debates since their motives differed from those of Niger Delta militants. Despite public criticism, the government continued with this policy. In all of this, the victims are left to live in IDP camps while the terrorists are forgiven and reintegrated back to the society. 6. Dredging of the River Niger by Yar'Adua to reduce congestion in southwestern ports. Yar'Adua initiated the dredging of the River Niger to facilitate a northern seaport. However, his successor Jonathan abandoned the project, leading to accusations that he deliberately undermined the north, one of the reasons for his electoral defeat in 2015. Despite Buhari being a northerner, he also did not prioritize the project, leaving billions of naira wasted. 7. Almajiri schools by Jonathan. Jonathan established Almajiri schools to remove children from street begging, but the initiative failed due to a lack of consultation on whether Western-style classrooms aligned with the traditional system. The project was eventually abandoned. 8. Border closure by Buhari. Buhari's government shut land borders to curb arms smuggling and encourage local food production. While the intent seemed logical, it overlooked the reality that open borders weren't the primary sources of illegal arms. Additionally, banning imports of goods still insufficient in local supply led to skyrocketing food prices and inflation. 9. Ruga settlement plan by Buhari. Despite not being part of his campaign promises, Buhari attempted to establish ranches nationwide amid increasing farmer-herder conflicts. Instead of punishing violent herders, he pushed for ranch construction, which faced strong resistance and ultimately failed. 10. Buhari social investment programs. Buhari social programs such as Empower misled many youths into believing they will secure permanent employment, only to be dismissed later. The Anchor Borrowers Program, managed through National Microfinance Bank, also turned into a scandal, with many applicants forced to pay fees but ultimately deemed ineligible. Later reports emerged of massive corruption within the scheme. 11. Removal of subsidy and naira devaluation by Tinubu. On his first day in office, Tinubu announced the removal of fuel subsidies, plunging the country into economic hardship. While previous government has spent billions on subsidies under the guise of making petrol cheaper, corruption remained the real issue. Instead of tackling corruption, Tinubu scrapped the subsidy entirely. Similarly, the naira's floating policy has exacerbated economic instability. Time will tell whether these policies will yield positive results or turn into yet another failed experiment. Lack of accountability. Despite the numerous policy failures across different administrations, no one has been held accountable. The only way to prevent future mismanagement is to enforce consequences for those responsible. Follow for more. March 6, 2025.